What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Win and Play podcast. I am your host, Sean Gary, national youth speaker and author of Ricardo's Race and Ricardo's Race, the activity booklet, and two other books I have. But anyway, today is going to be an awesome day because I have somebody I would consider personally a living legend in the building today because, well, you guys are going to hear in a minute how awesome this individual is and what all he's doing. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But before we get started, as you guys know, for those who are here for the first time, this is the Win and Play podcast. What is the purpose of the Win and Play podcast? We interview principals, teachers, parents, and any other youth advocates, somebody working with youth who can give us the game, give us the win and plays, the tips, the tricks, the secrets to how to connect with students, how to work with students, what youth are going through, and things that they've done that work, right? Ultimately, it's to help and better youth, our students, our young people, our babies, as I like to call them. So that's the purpose. So during this episode, we're going to get into some of those things. But before we ever get started on every single episode, what we do first is we understand, right, the win and play. We're trying to run the plays. We want to win. But when you think about sports, the win and play gets you to the championship game, right? And so we all want to win the championship. We want to get the chip, right? So as a champion, you get to get you a ring. So, so what we do on the show is we eat a ring pop. So I'm still working on ring pop. Y'all need to go ahead and sponsor because this thing been going on for a while now. You need to reach out to me. Yeah. So I'll let you pick first which one you want.
I'm going to go tropical.
Tropical, nice. I had a tropical one on the last episode, and I was like, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This one. Sour cherry. I'm going to go with the strawberry watermelon. Is that the one I had last time? I'm going to go with that one.
All right.
That one. Bust these babies open.
Doing this gold, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice. What flavor was that one?
This was
lemonade or something? Or? Tropical lemonade.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Which one is strawberry watermelon? I can't go wrong with them two flavors.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all across the land, before you today is the one and only Jamey. And Jamey, I want you to, first and foremost, thank you for taking time to be here. I mean, you are one of the busiest, hard-working men that I know. And because you're working so much with young people, I just love it because I've seen you give so much. I've seen you like reach out, and I've seen you just, from the behind the scenes and even the times we've spoken, it's like, right. I just appreciate everything that you do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so thank you for taking time today. All right, so let's get this thing started. So let's tell the people first and foremost, how old were you when you first started working with youth? Like, not just how old were you, but even before that, what was it that called you to it or that you felt led? Why youth?
Yeah, so I started getting in working with youth when I was 16 years old. Wow. My dad was a coach, my grandpa was a coach, my mom was a cheerleading coach. Wow. So I was always around them coaching and seeing the impact they had on youth. So the opportunity came to me when I was 16 where the grade school that I went to needed a basketball coach for the sixth graders.
Okay.
I jumped at the opportunity, me and a friend of mine. So that's when it started when I was 16.
Okay.
And ever since then, and I'm 42 now, I think I've maybe had 1 year of that time I didn't coach, whether it's basketball or lacrosse or football or whatever it may be. So, that's really where I learned it was just my parents and my grandparents were always really involved with youth and athletics.
Wow.
And then
that's cool.
And then we just, just through the years, it kind of brought me to trying to dive deeper into youth and how can we affect them not just on the court and on the field, but also every day. How can we, drive them to do better in class and be better brothers and be better, teammates. And so here we are now and coaching lacrosse and having a lacrosse club. So it's been amazing. It's been extremely fulfilling in my life. I have a great wife that allows me to have the time to spend with all these young athletes and their families. So
nice.
It's been
shout
amazing.
out to the wife.
Yeah, shout out to Sunshine for sure.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Behind every good coach, there's a good wife. Trust me.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: when you started coaching basketball, right?
Yeah.
The sixth graders, had you played basketball before?
Yeah, so I grew up playing baseball, basketball, and football, just like every American kid in the Midwest, right? Growing up. So I played high school basketball my first 2 years. I had some great coaches growing up.
And where was home for you?
So I grew up in Oakley. I went to St. Cecilia Grade School in Oakley. It's a small grade school. I think I had like 30 kids in my class, something like that.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up playing. And then I played it obviously in high school for a couple years, and just coaching just kind of clicked for me. I wasn't, out of the three sports, I was probably the worst at basketball, but I was able to I was good at coaching it, and we had a lot of success early, and those early families were amazing too, which kind of just kept driving me to just kind of, keep going and have an effect on these young folks.
Nice. That's cool. So you were coaching basketball first, and then what did you coach after that?
So I coached actually middle school and high school basketball from the time I was 16 to the time I was almost 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you know about them X's and O's.
I can X and O a little bit. Yeah,
I
can X and O a little bit.
X's and O's.
Yeah. So at the time that I had stopped coaching basketball, my family was growing. At the time I was coaching high school basketball at Purcell Marion, where I went to high school.
Okay.
And then from there, my oldest son Dylan started playing lacrosse, and that was kind of all she wrote after that.
Yeah, it was over after that.
It was over after that.
Sign it over. It's over.
Yeah, right. So, but it was cool because there's a lot of characteristics in basketball and lacrosse, especially the X's and O's that were the same. So it was a really easy transition. Yeah. And I just fell in love with just like the brotherhood and family aspect of the game. So.
Yeah. So I know for me, when Tara and I started looking for something to get the kids into, we wanted to be strategic. We said, you know what? Because I played basketball in college, blah blah blah. We said we're not gonna get them in basketball. We let them play some things earlier, and we said it's been a minute since they did something, so let's put them back in something, you know. And we said, well, let's be strategic.
Sure.
And so we looked up college scholarships, and of course, basketball and football was like way at the bottom. It was like a million. I'm making the numbers up, but there's like a million players per scholarship, right? And we're like, that's crazy. So we went to the top of the list. And towards the top, it was lacrosse was up there, and it was, I don't remember, but it was like 12 every, it was like something that's significantly different. Every 20 players is a scholarship, something like that. We were like, they're playing lacrosse, they're going to do that. Yeah. And my wife Tara had seen a clinic that was coming up for lacrosse, right? And so we're like, let's do that. Let's take them and see what happens, right? And so it was hilarious. We showed up and we had, first of all, we didn't know what we were doing with the equipment. And I'm going somewhere with this for the people that are watching that are new in lacrosse. And so we got what do we do? We went to Play It Again Sports. Yeah. We went to Play It Again Sports. We're like, let's go ahead and ask them what all they're gonna need and the basic stuff. And I promise you, we showed up and helping them get everything on, which we didn't know we were doing even with that. But one of the coaches, and they were so nice, they were so cool at the time, but they were like, this one's not going to work. You're going to need, this equipment. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Yeah. And I think one of the sticks was like a toy. Yeah. It wasn't even
stick, whatever they call it.
It wasn't even a real stick. It was hilarious. And I was just like, I wasn't really embarrassed. I thought it was funny, but he was kind of laughing, but he said, just don't worry about it because everybody, makes the same mistake with getting equipment and stuff. So, but that day they were all just throwing and chasing. Really, it was more chasing than anything, right? No one could catch the ball, and I'm sitting here like, wow, this is interesting. They have to throw the ball and catch it with this stick. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. And so we had no idea what the game was supposed to look like. We're just watching all these kids out here throwing the ball and chasing, and then towards the end, we see all these high schoolers lining up and they all got their gear on, they got their jerseys on, and we're like, look, hey, I think they got a game or something coming up. We were like, we said, man, let's stay and see what it's supposed to look like, man. Right. And it was so cool because when they started, it was so nice to see what the catching and the passing was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And then the aggressive nature of the game.
Yeah.
I remember.
Are your students lacking confidence? How's their decision making in the school? What about their effort in the classroom? Are they giving it all that they really, really have? Well, these are things that, as a national youth speaker and author, I address in school buildings. If you are dealing with any of these issues and you would like to have a fun, exciting, full of energy presentation, assembly, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is SeanGary.com. How they think about their next choices will be different. Go ahead and book a discovery call with me, which we simply have a conversation about what their challenges are, what their needs are, and then I can share with you what I would say, do, what talks that I have that address those areas, and also what an assembly would look like. And yes, I'm pretty much there the whole day. All right, thanks a lot. Now back to the episode.
We were laughing because, we weren't laughing at first, but they were getting hit and boom, 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 and hitting each other and throwing each other. And we were just looking back and forth at the ref like the ref's not blowing his whistle. That's legal. Whatever they're doing, that's legit. So we were just like, oh, what did we get these babies into? What did we get these babies into? But we haven't looked back since. I mean, It's been an awesome journey. But I shared that story because it's funny, but also to connect with some of the parents that are new to the organization, new to the club, and some of them having gone through some similar experiences with the equipment and with, understanding the game. And I'm still figuring out the game. We're on the sidelines at tournaments, what they say? What was wrong with that? What did he, you can't really yell at the ref because you don't know what he called or what if he was right or not. Wait, what was that? And so I wanted to ask you, when Dylan started playing, what was your experience like with lacrosse and getting acclimated into the sport?
Sure. So I did not play lacrosse growing up. Like I said, we grew up, everyone played baseball, basketball, football, right? Lacrosse wasn't really available to us, unfortunately, because I love the sport.
Yeah.
I remember there was a friend of ours whose son had started playing lacrosse, who was the same age as Dylan, since kindergarten, and we're there on the same football team. Well, he started kind of saying, hey, Dylan doesn't do anything in the spring. Let's start getting him into lacrosse because he's an athletic kid and he gets it. Mm-hmm. So I'll be honest with you, I had no idea. So our friend, his name is Matt Wiebe, he kind of showed us what the equipment looked like. Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, well, he needs someone to toss with. So man, I was out there with my baseball glove, just tossing lacrosse with him.
Yeah.
And we did that for years.
Okay.
And like I said, and that's when I started learning the game. But that's how we got started. Just got the baseball glove out, and just tossing with a hit with the lacrosse stick. And
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so we were really fortunate in that way to where we had someone that really knew the game and could help us out, which is part of the reason now when we have new players that want to come to the club or they reach out, that we're able to provide that for them and show them this is what you need, here's how we can help, and those kind of things.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't think about somebody mentioned it, but I had forgotten. You mentioned the baseball glove. I heard somebody saying, it's good to get out there with the glove. I hadn't tried that. I would try to catch with them with another stick. I had bought a stick for me, because I was like, well, they got sticks. Let me get my own. Yep. And of course, Ari, being a girl, at first we bought the same stick as the other boy. As the boys, we didn't know it was the.
I can still not throw with a girl stick. I cannot. I just can't. I don't know how they do it. It is super impressive to me when I watch them play. Mm-hmm. I still cannot throw it. That ball goes straight up in the air.
Right. Well, I call myself trying to, get in their space and, try to throw it as they're learning, I'm learning, And so I was thinking, because I'm an adult, I need this longer pole, stick. I was like, oh, that must be for adults, right?
It's a 6 foot deep pole.
So I got this longer stick, and then later we find out no, that's just a deep hole. No, the kids can use that too, whatever. But my struggles catching, I didn't think they probably would get a lot more practice if I just used the baseball glove.
It will humble you really, really fast. You think you're athletic, you got good hand-eye, and then you start trying to throw a lacrosse ball, and it's
different.
So different.
It is
very
different. and they're trying to like coach me through it. Like, Dad, you gotta follow through and don't jerk. Like, just go follow. And I'm just like, okay,
That was kind of the cool part when like my son Dylan started to play. Like, we kind of fell in love with the game together and like started learning the game together. I mean, it helped that I was a coach already, so I kind of understood a little bit of the ins and outs. Yeah, but we kind of fell in love with it together, and it's kind of always been our thing. Like, Dylan coaches for us now. He coaches actually my other son's team in the summer.
Nice.
So it's definitely become kind of like a family thing. So your kids have come a long way. Hey, Sean's kids are some beasts. They're some absolute dogs. So like, don't let them sell it because they are really good.
Oh man. Well, I know. I appreciate that, and I know they love the game. And I remember the first year hearing someone say something about a goalie and saying, if I could find a goalie, somebody that wanted to play goalie, they'd have a golden ticket. And I remember thinking like, man, I really don't know what that means yet, but I'm not going to forget. I heard that. And if one of my kids say they want to be a goalie, then they're going to be a goalie.
And you got two good ones.
And Ari mentioned goalie. She was like, yeah, I want to try it. And we let her try. And then she wanted to try some other things. This is all like in that first year. And then toward the end, though, Caleb was like, I want to be a goalie. And I said, really? He said, no, I want to be a goalie. Yeah. And so Tara and I put him in this goalie camp, and it cost a little money to put him in there. And I remember it being like an overnight or a day camp. And he at the time wasn't old enough. I think he was 9 at the time. This was like 3 years ago or whatever. He wasn't old enough to spend a night and be a part of the overnight. But I was looking at the schedule, and I said, if he gets to be, if he has to leave, he's leaving at 3 o'clock or something. If he's overnight, that's so many more hours of more talking about the game, being with older players playing the game. And I said, I want him to stay. And so we agreed. We called them, and they said, well, typically they don't, but if you're okay with it, just pay the difference, and then, he can stay. So we were like, cool. We asked him. He was like, I can? Yeah, really? And so when we went to pick up, we were like, man, he told us he was like the mascot, like he's the youngest guy. Everybody was Caleb.
Everyone's taking care of him.
And we were calling him and FaceTiming him and stuff throughout the week. But one thing that we noticed afterwards was his development. Like, he picked up so much from it. Like, I mean, he went from, I want to be goalie and I'm standing in front of the goal, just trying to block stuff, to after the camp, he was like warming himself up and doing all these different little drills and stuff. I'm just like, look at him. Like, this little dude out here, man. He ain't even 2 digits old yet. He out here working out. So what would you say, any thoughts on training? And obviously we'll get more to the club stuff and what you guys provide. Phenomenal program. But what's your thoughts to the parents that are thinking, should I send my kid to a camp or give them some extra? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say it's never going to a camp or going to training. Yes, there's a cost behind it. A lot of your high schools offer summer camps for lacrosse, so that's where I would start. Going to a camp or a training can never be bad for you. That's the great thing about a camp or a training, right? You're going to get more reps, more touches, more instruction, and if you can do it, financially, go to as many as you can, because it's great to learn from different coaches in different spots. Like, I feel like our goalie coach with headlines is amazing. I feel like he's the best out there. But there's coaches at other high schools and coaches in other states or other colleges that will coach something completely different. And I've noticed the best goalies when they get to that high school age are the goalies that have been to all these different places and kind of made and figured out what works for them best and what's made them so successful. So I would definitely recommend it. Now, I would not just throw a new player into a camp. The reason I say that is you're going to spend a lot of your time chasing the ball, right? Because when they come to camps, they're trying to run drills, and now there's a lot of new player stuff that people do out there. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Go to as many as you can. Definitely try and have your stick skills somewhat there before you do it, so you're getting more bang for your maximizing your reps instead of just chasing balls around. But yeah, dude, those camps and trainings are great. Like, you're right, you can't just depend on an hour practice twice a week and expect to get better.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So
no, that's good. That's good. All right, so let's go back to your journey.
yeah.
So from Dylan starting, and you were at that time you were still coaching basketball.
I was, yes.
Okay, so share that transition. How did you get into being more than just a dad whose son is playing lacrosse?
Right. So yeah, I was coaching. Like I said, growing family. I have 5 kids. I have a grandbaby. You know, yeah, right.
He just breezed through that, like, you know, I have 5 kids. And,
Yeah. So Dylan's my oldest. Dylan's 24. Stella's my youngest. She's getting ready to turn 5. So there's a big gap there.
Nice.
And we have a growing family in basketball, just like any sport. Coaching high school, it's demanding. It takes a lot of time away from home. So I decided to stop coaching basketball, just, you know, spend time with the family, and then Dylan started playing. And when I started watching the game, I just it's the small little things, right? Like after every game, everyone gets together and says rah rah the other team, and that's from kindergarten all the way through college, right? So it was those small things I kind of fell in love with, and then finding out the history of the sport, that it's the first North American sport invented by the Native Americans, and learning stuff about it. I just fell in love with it, and just like when I started coaching basketball, I just became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Learning the game, watching YouTube, going to coaches' clinics, talking to as many coaches as I can, high school or college. Show me what you're doing and how this works and what works for you, what hasn't worked for you, and talking to parents that have been involved in it for a long time.
Yeah.
And so then I eventually started coaching junior high at Lakota East.
Okay.
That was amazing. Great experience. I'm still really close friends with all those families. Those kids were the kids that just graduated this past year.
Oh, wow.
In 24.
Wow.
A lot of those kids are actually coaching for me this summer now. So,
nice.
And then from there, I got the head coaching job at Indian Hill, coaching their varsity team.
Nice.
Which was great. I had some parents that I had coached during the fall, coached their kids, and they had needed a new coach because their coach had retired. And I stepped in there. Those 4 years were just fantastic.
Yeah,
they were awesome. I mean, the families there were great. The administration, the staff were just out of this world. And I learned a lot in those 4 years. I took some serious lumps. Like my first year was COVID year. Our season got stopped right before we started playing games. So I learned a lot, and then, again, families get older and kids go to high school, and so I resigned at Indian Hill in October, and decided I wasn't going to coach, which was this past spring, which is what I thought. So Fairfield High School had a situation where they lost, their coach wasn't coaching there anymore with about 8 games left in the season, and they called me and said, hey, I heard you weren't coaching this spring. So grabbed a couple guys from my staff and stepped in at Fairfield for the last 8 games, which was amazing for those kids. They got to finish their season. They got their first ever playoff win in school history, which was great. Nice. So that's kind of how, just kind of the process of just like the high school ball stuff. The club story is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So,
share that.
Yeah, so those that don't know, I'm the director and founder of Headlines Lacrosse Club. We have roughly just over 600 families in the club.
Wow.
So we have 18 boys teams. We have 7 girls teams this year. That really all started with my son Dylan wanting to play with his friends in the fall. There wasn't a lot of fall ball in this area, and they wanted to play in some tournaments in the fall. Well, and that's part of the reason it's called Headlines Lacrosse, is one of my best friends owns Headlines Sportswear.
Okay.
And I called him, I was like, hey man, my son and his buddies want to play in this tournament. I need some jerseys. He was like, well, we'll just call it, we'll put Headlines on the jersey and you guys can just wear that. Perfect.
Right.
So that's how the name Headlines came from.
Wow.
So those guys played in some tournaments and did really, really well, and we kind of started gaining a little bit more interest. So we did falls for 3 years, and then I just kept getting more and more interest. Like, hey, have you thought about doing something in the summer? You know, in this area, I realized that the very top talented players in this area were driving 2 hours to Columbus to play for 2 different clubs, because they didn't feel like it was offered here in our area. And anyone that knows me, I am ingrained, and since I'm a hometown guy, I rep hometown no matter what, right? So I'm like, well, maybe there's a situation here where we can make it affordable to families, and we can find a way to keep that talent in Cincinnati and really put Southwest Ohio on the map in the lacrosse world, right?
Yeah.
So we decided, all right, we're going to take a leap, and we're going to have our first summer tryout. And I'm thinking, okay, we'll have a high school team, a junior high team, you know. Well, we had 400 kids showed up for tryouts. So that first summer, we ended up having like 7 teams.
Wow.
Had great success. Another one of my partners, Chad Johnson, was running a junior high club called Southern Ohio Impact. So we kind of pulled those two groups together. And from there, it went, you know, from 7 teams to 11 teams to 15 teams. And now we're at 25 teams between boys and girls. And it's been an absolute amazing journey that's taken me all over the country and taken my families all over the country. And it's been great to, like, work with a family and see their student athlete go to the college they want to go to and play there and be successful.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I'm proud of is how many guys. So if we have, you know, 18 boys teams, that means we have 36 coaches, right?
Wow.
And out of those 36 coaches, probably 25 are former players.
Wow.
So they've decided to come back, and they have a lot of heart in the club, and they're bought in.
That's
And
so cool.
they want to do the same thing, you know, that we did for them and give back to these guys. And it's been just an amazing journey so far.
No, that is cool. I love that the culture is set so that it's you know, you want to give, you're receiving, and then as you grow older, you're like, how can I give back?
Sure.
You know, and bring those coaches that used to be players in, and that's really, really cool. There's tons of value there for everybody, you know, right? Because the kids, they get to experience from somebody who's been where they are, you know, and then those that felt, you know, blessed from their opportunities as a student, now they get to give back, you know? So no, that's really, really cool.
It's amazing for me too, not to cut you off,
No,
that,
you
you know, I coached a lot of those guys, and now part of my job as a director is to coach our coaches. So I now get to deal with these guys that I coached in high school or junior high as grown men, and kind of coach them in coaching, like whether it's how to handle parents or how to run practice or whatever it may be. So it's a different kind of coaching, but it's still a way that I can still, you know, help them out, and then in change they can turn and affect the next group, and then that next group will graduate and come through, right? So
keep it flowing.
it's been amazing. It's been amazing so far. So
that's cool. So before we wrap up with our winning plays, I want to hear some things that you feel that you were able to learn dealing with students, dealing with the athletes. What are some of the things that you learned over the years? I guess let me ask this first. What's one of the wildest, craziest situations that you had to deal with? What's something that was just really crazy?
Aside from the COVID year, that was the COVID year was wild, because the first 2 weeks we thought we were coming back. Right?
Yeah.
So we were literally on group me. I have to get with guys and be like, hey, you have to send me a video every day of you hitting the wall, or a video of you shooting, right?
Nice.
Aside from that, probably the Fairfield thing this year, to step in with a team that's already had a coach for 3 years, and have to figure out, because I started I started on a Friday. Our first game with them was a Tuesday.
Oh wow!
So it was something I never experienced before. You know, stepping in and almost having to like just restart. Right. But
and how far into that was the last?
There was the last 8 games. There was 8 games left.
How many games total was it, roughly?
So we played our 8 regular season games. We won the playoff game, first one, and then we lost the second playoff game. So 10 total.
And how many? So had they played any games though before you got there?
Yeah, they'd played 10 games already.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's why I was trying to think. Where were they in the season? So
they were like
right past halfway.
Yeah, right past halfway. Correct.
Wow!
So
wow!
It was to step in there and just get to know everyone and
quickly.
Because I'm not just a coach I'm not the style coach that comes in and says, all right, X's and O's, here's what we're gonna do. I'm a style coach where I want to know my players. I want to have that relationship. Like, I want to know who they are, how they work, what makes them tick. how much can I push you? How much? Sometimes I want to know when do I need to know to pull back a little bit.
That's good.
So it's important for any coach to do that, in my opinion. So to have to do that in like this super small window,
man,
was challenging, but dude, it was so amazing. We got so much out of it.
Nice.
You know, there's a 38 kids that I didn't know before that I got to work with, and you know, they're texting me all the time. You know, what are you doing next year, and what's going on? And so I had a bunch of them texting me this weekend because I saw them at the tournament this weekend. So, but yeah, so that was probably the wildest thing I've been through with coaching. Okay. But I can tell you, it made me a way better coach. Right. To like that accelerated process.
Right. You had no choice. Sink or swim.
Yeah. Right. And it was really cool. It was really cool to be able to do something like that.
Good. I like that. Answer. It gives perspective to, you know, what that situation was like, even emotionally, just trying to figure it out. Like, oh man, okay, not just coming in saying this is how it's gonna be. Y'all do this. Like just to connect, right? That connection piece, I feel like is so huge.
No, absolutely. And I'm that kind of coach. Like, I have a lot of players. Every time we walk away, hey, love you, coach. Love you too, man. Like that's always how I've coached. That's always, I feel it's been a big part of my success and the club's success is parents and players understand, like, I'm going to care about your kid first, no matter what. Yeah. And just talking with other directors, because there's a lot of stuff right now that's in club sports or sports that is just not good, right? I mean, the way they either come down on kids or degrade them or anything like that. All my players understand, like, I'm going to be fair. I'm not going to be easy. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I'm going to hug on you and I love you, and you know, it's never a personal thing, and I want it it's important to me that the guys I'm coaching this year are rising sophomores, right? So they're 16 years old, that when they're 26, 27 years old, I'm getting, 10 wedding invitations that year, right? Yeah. Like, that's important to me, is to carry on that relationship with the players, with the parents, and we work hard at it. Like, I do my very best to try and memorize every single kid's name in our club, and
that's a lot of
names.
It
is a lot. I mean, I've done okay at it, but there's sometimes where I'll like,
what is this one again?
It's Blaine, right? No, it's Blake. I was close. I had the first three right.
That's a gift too, though.
Yeah, but it's important to me. Like, every single player in our club or in high school that I coach, they're important to me because it's an opportunity to watch them grow and help them grow. We've been able to help out a lot of families because club lacrosse is not cheap by any means. Yeah. And that's kind of a niche, I think, is part of our success, is we realize, like, it doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars to do this, right? Like, let's cut out some of the overhead. Let's pay our coaches really, really well. And let's make it affordable for our families so they can afford to still go on vacation. Instead of, I've seen too much. Well, we can't go on vacation this year because we're living on the East Coast and we're spending $2,000, $2,500 to play, and then another $3,000 for hotels and travel. Like, I want people to still enjoy their summer and enjoy their friends and it not be difficult on families. Like, when my son Dylan played club, we were a growing family. I was young, my wife was young, and it was a battle. Like, we had to cut things here and do things here, and we drove all over the place, man. I mean, because we couldn't afford to fly and do that kind of stuff. So I didn't want that for any other families. Like, that was not something I wanted. So that's part of the reason where, competition may say, hey, you're undercutting our cost. Well, that has nothing to do with what I'm worried about, right? I just care about the families first. And I've always said, as long as I put the families and the kids first, that decision can never be wrong. People may not like it. But it's still not going to be wrong. Right? So that's been our MO the whole time, is we're going to do what we feel like is the right thing to do all the time.
That's big.
And if it works, not everything has worked. Not every idea has worked. But it was still the right decision because it was, watching out for the family and the kids first, right?
The motive was right.
But with that, we've been really blessed with, having families that have recognized that and they've stepped in and said, hey, like, we're willing to pay double or triple if it means we can help a family that can't afford it, because we want them to have that opportunity.
Wow.
So that's
cool.
been something that's grown. You know, the first year we had 3 or 4, second year it's been 4 or 5. You know, now we're on, you know, our 5th summer. You know, we have 10, 11 families that are like, hey, we'll pay double or triple.
Wow.
Because we know that there's families out there that want to be
That's
a part
cool.
of this but can't afford it.
That's really cool.
So that's been, like I said, that's been a huge blessing. Because I love this game. I think this game has way more to offer than just the game.
Yeah.
Like I stated at the very beginning, just the brotherhood and the family aspect of it.
Yeah.
That, you know, I want, not only do I just want to, you know, put Southwest Ohio on the map, but I want everyone to experience this thing and have what I think is the right way to do it.
No, I think that's cool, and it's nice that, because like at the top, right? You're at the top. You're at the center of, you know, the culture and how things move. So as you do, so does, you know, everything. It flows. So it's interesting that your heart and passion for the youth and for making sure that they're good flows down even into the parents and into the coaches and into other people, to where they can say, you know what, this is something I also believe in. You know, not just believing in Jamey, but I believe in this program, and I can give more to this. You know, comfortably give more, happily give more, you know, excited to give more, right? And so I think that that also goes back to you, right? Because if you were this jerk, you know, this mean guy, this man that was, the motives were just different than what they are, then you wouldn't probably have people wanting to give, right? You wouldn't have people wanting to be a part. You wouldn't be growing. You know, the organization wouldn't be, the club wouldn't be growing. And, you know, you can see the growth of everything, and that stems from, you know, you taking care of the kids first and having that heart to serve them. So here we are at the end of this session here. So this is how we end every session. Our winning plays. So you got 2 options. You got option A, you got option B. Option A is you have principals, you have teachers, and you have parents. So you give 3 winning plays, 3 tips or whatever, advice for 3 each. So that's 9. Or option B, you can choose either principals or teachers or parents and give 5 winning plays for just that group.
Oh, wow.
So which one do you think you want to rock with? And this can be sports related, it could be classroom related, like it could be however, whatever you want.
Oh, man. I think I'll do 5 for parents.
Okay.
I think that's what
I think that's perfect.
That's kind of like my realm.
Yeah,
right?
that's perfect. That's perfect.
So tips. I think the first thing would be is just listen, right? Just listen to your kids, listen to each other. You know, the last thing you ever want, if I'm just going to use athletics, for example, is to push a young person to do something that they really don't have interest in because it's your own interest. I think any athletes experience that probably, right? You know, but I think that's the first thing is just listen. Like and obviously there's a middle ground. Like they're kids, right? So if it's 95 degrees outside, I don't want to play baseball.
Right.
Anymore. I don't want, it's hot. I don't want. Well, that's
That's
probably
really
not. No, right. So, but just listen. Just listen, because you want them to enjoy it. Like the idea is to grow and have them be a part of community. And if they're miserable, that's going to be really, really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is that let coaches coach, let teachers teach, let principals be principals, and give them some trust and some grace to do that. No one is ever going to love your kid as much as you love your kid, and
hopefully,
but no, right. But there's a lot of people out there that will come pretty close. If you just kind of allow that to happen and have that conversation. That's good. A big force outside of my parents or my grandparents is I had a lot of really good teachers that took a huge interest in me that were amazing just in my development, whether it was grade school or high school. Now, was there teachers I didn't get along with? Yeah.
Right.
But that also brings me to my third thing, like teach your kids respect everybody.
Yeah, that's good.
And I don't mean drill sergeant. I don't mean yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, which is great if you do that. But no matter what, respect everyone.
Right.
Respect everyone. Even if they disrespect you, respect the fact that they may be disrespecting you because they're being disrespected somewhere else. Right?
Yeah.
It's the whole term hurt people hurt people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So teach them grace and respect to understand that although someone may be coming down on them or something like that, like show some grace.
Yeah.
Have a conversation. Instead of just, automatically lashing out.
Right.
What was
That's
that?
good.
Was
That's
that 3 or 4?
Yep, that's
That
three.
3?
Yep.
Okay.
2 more.
Fourth one is just spending time, right? I mean, it's sometimes like one of my favorites. So I had to drive my daughter to school every day this year.
Okay.
And I would drop her off at 6:40 in the morning.
Oh wow.
That's early.
Wow.
So,
The
but
drop-off time.
but I didn't mind doing that because it gave me and her 15 minutes every day to just talk and what's going on, how's it going, or we just turn the music all the way up.
Yeah, that's good.
It's kind of the same thing with like my 2 older sons with lacrosse. Like in 2 weeks we're all traveling to Virginia together, and then a week after that we're traveling to Maryland, and we get to have that time to like get to know them and like what's going on with you and have fun with it.
That's good.
I think the last thing is, and I mentioned this word a few times, is just grace. Like whenever, just grace.
Yeah.
Teach your kids grace. It is, I have teenagers, you have teenagers. It is harsh out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it is not easy for our kids. Like, as parents, we're like, oh, it was so hard for us. We didn't have everything at our fingertips. Well, in my opinion, it's harder for them because everything is at their fingertips.
Yes.
And
100%
it is, I say all the time, like, I was not the best kid growing up. I had amazing parents, but I was rough. I was a roughneck, man. And there's a lot of things. If social media was around at that time, I probably would have gotten in a lot of trouble. And I think that's a lot of us, in our age group, right?
For sure.
But I think that, because it's at their fingertips, it is really, really hard for them.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that part kind of goes back to spend time and like show them that grace and what that looks like for people. You don't have to be friends with everybody. Yeah. But just teach them grace and just how to just love them regardless. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's been something that's it's taken me a while to learn with, finding a relationship with God and going to church and doing all that is before I had a relationship. I mean, I grew up in, Catholic private school, which was great. But I didn't really have a relationship with God with all that till I was an adult, till after I got married, right?
Yeah.
With me and Sunshine, I've been married 14 years now. So, but once I learned that, it just changed my whole perspective and I get a lot of heat, right? I mean, it's,
You can't be in your position and not, though.
No, right. So it's like...
Everybody's not going to always be happy.
No, exactly right. Yeah. And I understand that. And I'm not always happy. Like, I get angry and frustrated, but, like, I don't care who you are, I'm just, like, again, I'm going to respect you and love you regardless. Yeah. We don't have to be friends or talk, but that's what I would say. Yeah. Is just kind of teach them, like, look, we're all going to be different and think different. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we have to be apart. Yeah. Right? That's good. And it's those different ideas that can create something. Like, I feel like we've done with the club is we took a bunch of different ideas from different things and had some people that were bought in and created this thing that's affected people, generationally, which is what it's about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's been... those are probably my 5 things. Yeah. And they're all kind of tied together, and those are conversations I have with parents a lot too. Is if he's acting a certain way, well, maybe something going on, and let's talk about it and because I see it at practice, right?
Right,
You know,
right.
I mean, you've been an athlete for a long time. If your mind's not there, your body's not there.
Right. Yeah.
So, those are probably the 5.
Those are good.
Those
Those
probably
are
the
some
5
really,
biggest
really
things,
good
yeah.
ones. Really, really good ones. And it's funny too, because I remember the first time we talked about lacrosse, we were at a practice and we were just talking and
We're at the Boys and Girls Club inside.
Yep. And I remember walking away like, man, he's pretty cool. I'm about to look him up and make sure I friend him. And I don't know if this is just me, but I'll be on some Facebook hunting people down,
Facebook stalking going on.
What'd you say your name was? Oh, yeah, what is it? And how you spell that?
Jamey with an E. Jamey with an EY.
Let me see what they're representing online, right?
Right.
But it was so funny because I was walking to my car going, oh, he's a really cool guy. I like him. I definitely want to connect. And then I get to Facebook and I see that we already had connected and we were talking about God and had this whole conversation and everything.
Right.
I was like, I was texting you like, yo, look, we already friends.
That's right.
So that was
funny.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool. So again, man, I appreciate you taking
course.
time today
Thanks for
to
having me.
get out
That's
here and talk to the people and do the interview and all that good stuff. And before we go, is there, for anybody that wants to get in contact with you, they want to learn more about lacrosse, maybe they haven't played lacrosse at all,
Sure.
and now they're like, well, let me check that thing out. What information would you give them where they can find you and contact you?
Yes, you can find us on headlineslacrosse.com on our website. My telephone number's on there, my email's on there, as long as some of our directors. You can always email me at Jamey, Jamey, at makeheadlines.com or .us. Those are probably the 2 easiest ways to get me. I'm obviously on social media, Jamey Foley, and then Headlines Lax Club on Instagram, same thing on Twitter. So, if you have any questions or anything, please reach out anytime and we'll be more than happy to help.
Perfect. And all that will be in the description below. Last question before we head out.
Okay.
For the parents, because we have a weekend coming up of tournaments. So for the parents that are watching, well, this will be probably releasing this Sunday. I think I'm gonna let this go.
Well,
this
we'll
Sunday.
have more tournaments after that.
You're right. Yeah, right. Right. So what is your advice? Here we go. What is your advice for the parents that are at these tournaments? Any advice for them that are on the sideline watching the games?
So, okay.
This is where I should have asked the worst, wildest situation.
So, number 1 is in all the years I've coached basketball or lacrosse, I've never seen a referee change a call after he makes a call. Ever. There's no replay in youth and high school sports, right?
Right.
So, I think just keep that in mind. Now, am I guilty of getting on referees sometimes? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not a guy that's going to sit here and say I don't talk to refs a little bit. Mm-hmm. But that'd be my first thing is they're never going to change it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hot this weekend. So you're going to find yourself sweating trying to get on a referee, right? The second thing is there's a great opportunity within club sports that you meet so many new people because you have kids from Kings and Lakota and Mason and Walnut Hills. You have all these kids from all over the tri-state or the Southwest Ohio coming in and playing together for the common goal, right? Yeah. Take some time to have fun with those parents. These are people that you're going to spend a lot of time with over the next few years, right? Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of times it's crazy, the parents that seem to really get along, those teams become better quicker.
Yeah. Are your students lacking confidence? How's their decision making in the school? What about their effort in the classroom? Are they giving it all that they really, really have? Well, these are things that, as a national youth speaker and author, I address in school buildings. If you are dealing with any of these issues and you would like to have a fun, exciting, full of energy, presentation, assembly, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is SeanGary.com. How they think about their next choices will be different. Go ahead and book a discovery call with me, which we simply have a conversation about what their challenges are, what their needs are, and then I can share with you what I would say, do, what talks that I have that address those areas, and also what an assembly would look like. And yes, I'm pretty much there the whole day. All right, thanks a lot. Now back to the episode.
Right?
Wow.
Because
Wow.
the families are all kind of like bought in, and the next thing you know, you got all the players hanging out when it's lacrosse isn't going on because all the parents hanging out. So get to know those people. Like I said, we have a lot of great families. So I think the last thing would be like celebrate your kid.
That's good.
Wins or losses.
Yeah.
Like I tell my coaches, which is super hard as a coach, and it's kind of the same for parents, you cannot care more than the kid because you are going to be frustrated if you do. So like celebrate your kids, whether they win the tournament or don't win a game. Like celebrate the fact that they were there, they showed up, they played their tails off. So celebrate them.
That's good.
Right? And celebrate their teammates. Like really like be a huge cheering section for your team regardless of what's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
So those are probably the three things.
That's good. Those are really good. Those are really good. All right, so before we go, did you have anything else you want to share or say to the people on the episode before we head out?
No, just keep tuning in. This guy's doing big things, so please keep tuning in and
Appreciate that.
Ring Pop. We're still waiting for that shout out.
That's right. That's right. So guys, go ahead and like, subscribe, send this to somebody that you know that works with students or they have students. Maybe they're just a parent and they can pull some nuggets out of here, some diamonds off of this episode. And that's it, man. That's all I have today. And so if that's it,
That's it.
it's your boy, Sean Gary, and I'm out. Peace.
See ya.